Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. It is time to put together the last of these Transformers Metal Earth kits, Soundwave. I've already put together Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, and Megatron. So this is the last one. I'm hoping he will be fairly easy because the last two were rather challenging, but there's only one way to find out. Let's open it up, see what we got, and complete the set. Let's see. Our standard 2 metal sheets, and what has become the standard for these Transformer kits, we have 2 pieces of paper. The first sheet, page number 1, has a picture of Soundwave, a little bit about the tabs and folds and those pliers being useful, and a map of the 2 sheets, which I notice again has certain parts colored in. I've become to know these as being the same part. They just only point to one of them and give you the number, which they've done before. And other kits, they just never colored them, so you had to play a bit of a guessing game with some parts. Although it would be difficult to get these 2 parts confused. I've had kits, especially the Destroy Droid, which had lots of little round parts that were very slightly in size, and it was difficult to tell which was which. And then page 1, flip it over for page 2, and open it up for 3 and 4, and then the next sheet opens up for 5 and 6, flip over for 7 and 8. Alright, put this out of the way for now, and get my trusty magnifying light ready. Tools that I used in making this kit. First off, the toolkit from Fascinations. You've got your clippers, which are great for snipping parts off the spruce or tree, some long needle nose pliers for bending parts, and some flat nose pliers for bending and shaping parts. Also, tweezers. You can potentially put the entire kit together just with tweezers, but I do recommend other tools. I have some different size needle nose type pliers, or in this case some locking clamps, which can come in real useful for holding parts still without having to squeeze. I also find it quite handy to have some rods, dowel rods, or paintbrush to bend and shape circular parts, and I also have these ring pliers which have round ends on them that are good for making curves. It's also helpful to have a dental type pick for reaching into small areas, pushing and pulling small areas, and also some sort of knife, small pocket knife or X-Acto blade, something that you can get into and bend over certain tabs.
There is a lot of folding of tabs in this kit. I use different tools depending on the size and length of the fold. This centerpiece of the leg was difficult. Usually parts fall into place when you fold up the sides, but in this case, with the bends of the metal, that did not happen. I ended up bending out the sides of the leg to fit the pieces in, and then it was a little tough to hold the sides in place while bending the tabs back with my fingernails, holding it all together. Often, after bending over the side pieces of the part, you may have to bend and straighten the tabs, especially if the sides are not bent at right angles. The other leg goes together as the same as the first. To bend over the sides of the base, I push against a flat surface such as a table. These sides are long and thin and warp easy. I've used pliers before, but with mixed results. I twisted the outer two tabs of the right foot, then the outer two tabs of the left foot, then the tabs on the insides, rather than trying to twist all the tabs on one foot before attaching the other and losing some flexibility. These two pieces were a challenge to hold together and bend the tabs without warping the entire piece. I ended up bending one of the tabs to create a hook to hold the end while I aligned the other and bent that tab over. Fortunately, they did not need to be real tight, just hold together enough to attach to a larger piece. The buttons are so tiny that I used the pliers to hold onto the parts as I lined them up. It took several tries. I ended up dropping and losing one of the tiny buttons. After a thorough search, I gave up and put together the rest of the buttons. The short side pieces had an extra bend, then I needed to bend the tabs back straight. It helps to have the tabs bent so that they are all facing the same direction towards the next part. I decided to put this button on before the frame of the tape deck. I was wanting to avoid bending over this frame when putting on the button. I also used the long nose pliers to hold the frame flat while bending the tabs into place. I started bending the gun around a dowel rod that was a little too big, then worked my way to smaller ones. This helps to keep from having uneven bends. Then I used the long nose pliers to bend the ends together. After inserting the tabs through the slot, I bend the tab over partially with the tweezers and roll the part against the desk, finishing and securing the bend. And then some final shaping with the pliers. Be sure to bend the tab on the end outwards to leave room for the fist and gun. I missed one of the tabs on this part, but I did not figure that out until later. Don't forget to bend up the two tabs so that later you can attach Buzzsaw. It's really nice that they included Buzzsaw in this kit. It was a little confusing how to shape him. The instructions are less than clear, and you can barely see him on the packaging. This video has been edited down to a shorter version. I try to clip out sections where I'm searching for parts, studying directions, and sometimes repetitive steps while trying to keep the relevant information. It may make it look like this kit came together easily, but there is a lot of bending and adjusting of parts and tabs to make things fit. Work slowly, be patient, these kits take time. I use the locking pliers to hold on to the small pieces, such as the faceplate, so I do not have to worry about holding a solid grip while lining up the part. I twisted most of the tabs holding the arms on, but there were some in the back that I could only bend over. I feel there are enough tabs holding it together that will be fine. The back went on easier than normal.
And here we have Soundwave. This is the last of the Metal Earth Transformers kits. I now have a complete set. There were a lot of portions about Soundwave that seemed easier. This kit seemed to go faster than the last two. This kit went by faster than Megatron or Bumblebee. This is probably a good kit to start with on the Transformer line. There are, however, a couple of tricky spots. So it's for the most part easier, but there were a couple of things that were kind of new to me. These pieces here on the front of the leg, the way they go in is a bit tricky and difficult to get, but not horribly so. And one of the buttons on his abdomen fell as I was building it, and I searched and searched and couldn't find it. So it's missing a button, and I even used this big magnetic bar that I have because these metal pieces are magnetic. And even after going around the floor, around the table, I came up with nothing. It's not the worst thing in the world. Basically, since he is a radio from the 80s, I'm just going to say that button is the one that was pressed in when he transformed. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. There are almost no rounded parts. There's this on his shoulder and this gun in his hand are the only rounded parts, so that does make it a lot simpler. It's a lot of angles and square parts. There's a lot of simplicity to the folding. Some complications, but not too bad. It is a decent kit to start with. I would do this. I would recommend this before Megatron or Bumblebee. Optimus Prime wasn't too bad. It got off to a quick start building the bottom half, and it slowed down a little bit in the top half. But all in all, this was an easier kit. There was a piece on one of the arms, a tab that I missed on the instructions. It wasn't entirely clear to me that I was supposed to actually put that tab through the slot. Didn't figure it out until it was too late, but I think it'll be fine. This is not something to be picked up and played with a lot. This is going to go on a shelf. On the picture, on the packaging, you can't really see his left, or is it? Yeah, his left arm. But on his left arm is one of the tapes, which transforms into a bird. I can't remember exactly what it is. So that was kind of a neat surprise. I really enjoyed that he's got the other Transformer, a little micro guy on his arm. And just for a finale, this back piece, usually when it comes to the end when you're putting the big pieces together, these went together fairly easily. This back piece went on the first time. That almost never happens. It does take some time to get all the tabs lined up. As always, any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thank you for watching. Keep on keeping on.